Father, my Father, Lion of Judah, as I pray, kill my appetite for materialism.
The Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed. Provoke the terrific move of God.
Go!
This is a miracle, Papa. This is a miracle. This is a miracle. She woke up, became paralyzed. Now she is walking.
Vocalize supernatural decrees in Free Sundays of Lion of Judah service with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman.
We are beginning 3 Sundays of Lion of Judah next Sunday.
Date Sunday 20th June through 4th July 2021. Happening at the International Worship Center, Omega Fire Ministries, kilometer 132 Benin, Kenya, Abuja Expressway, Algier, Delta State, Nigeria. The time is 6:30 a.m. GMT +1. For inquiries, please call. Prepare for an encounter.
My Father, Lion of Judah, as I pray, kill my appetite for materialism.
The Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed. Provoke the terrific move of God.
Go!
This is a miracle, Papa. This is a miracle. This is a miracle. She woke up, became paralyzed. Now she is walking.
Vocalize amounted to 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosu.
Apostle Johnson Suleiman awards scholarship and supports to free children. South Africa tightens restrictions as new infections climb. Outbreaks emerge across Australia in new phase of pandemic. Currency in circulation drops to 2.79 trillion naira, says Central Bank of Nigeria. Belgium beats holders Portugal 1-0 to reach Euro 2020 quarterfinals. The Welcome Celebration Television News Desk. I am Nicholas Akosile Walter. Please don't go anywhere as we'll bring you details of our news after this short break. Welcome back, and now the news in details. Sunday, 27 June 2021, Apostle Johnson Suleiman, President founder Omega Fire Ministries, extended a helping hand to a woman whose husband had abandoned with 3 children, leaving her to the mercy of her parents. It all started while the apostle was operating in the prophetic after admonishing the congregation with a message titled Commanding Answers to Prayers. Meanwhile, it was a family liberation, as the apostle mentioned to sisters having CRUSADES with them. For over 3 years, the elder sister was abandoned by her husband with 3 children, which led to their mother catering for the children who have not been going to school due to lack of funds. Also, she has been supporting paying the children's lesson fees when she receives her pensions. Moving further, the restoration apostle and his wife, Dr. Lizzie Johnson Suleiman, took the burden to support the women by awarding scholarships to the little children with a monthly allowance of 50,000 naira for the next 5 years.
We're going to pray against the spirit of setback. A spirit where somebody gets married, something negative happens, and the person goes back home. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, that's
the person
true.
now goes back home.
Yes.
And start depending on the parents.
Yes, that's true.
Where's the father of these children? It's in Abuja. I'm not seeing the both of you. Something happened.
Yes, he
Okay.
abandoned me and the children. 3 years now.
3 years. He abandoned you and these children.
He denied the children.
He denied them. All right. So who's taking care of them now? You taking care of them. What do you do?
I don't do it. It's my mom.
Oh, your mom is taking care of them. Oh, now I understand what I saw. Your mom is a child civil servant.
Yes, sir.
So she does all of the care.
Yes, sir. Pension.
She's a pension.
She gives us a pension every month.
She gives you a pension every month.
So
They've not been to school for 1 year.
so
How much is
she's
the pension?
She's the one paying their lesson fee.
Paying their lesson fee. How much is the pension she gives?
About, it's not up to 40,000.
You see these children? Huh? From today. Any school you want them to go, just leave it for me and my wife. We'll pay. And between now and the next 5 years, every month we'll send you 50,000 for 5 years for their feeding.
It was indeed an answer to prayer for the lady who had given up all hope since her husband left. The service ended with diverse miracles showcasing the wonders of God. Moving forward quickly, Osibanjo and others for ICPC workshop. Vice President Professor Yemi Osibanjo will join other dignitaries at a 2-day training for Nigerian negotiators organized by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission. The spokesperson for the ICPC, Mrs. Azuka Ogungwa, says the training scheduled to begin today would have in attendance Maliku Desta, a professor of international economic law from the Lister de Montfort University in the United Kingdom. The training has been organized by ICPC in conjunction with the Interagency Committee on Stopping Illicit Financial Flows from Nigeria. Participants for the training are senior and middle-level negotiators drawn from ministries, departments, and agencies of the government who are involved in negotiating trade agreements with foreign nations and companies for Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo will give an opening address at the capacity building for the Nigerian negotiators, while Professor Desta will deliver a paper on understanding trade agreements. The ICPC chairman, Professor Bolaji Awasonoye, says that the idea of the training is to sensitize negotiators on the type of clauses to look out for to protect the laws of a country and prevent Nigeria from losing revenue through illicit financial flows. The will help negotiators prepare for the risk associated with negotiating trade, investment, tax, natural resources, and environmental agreements for the country. In another development, Kano to sponsor 10,400 students in NECO examinations. The Kano state government has directed the 44 local governments in the state to pay National Examination Council's fees for 10,400 indigent students. The Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Murtala Suleiman, said this through his public relations officer, Farouk Gali Masanawa. Suleiman added that the Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, directed each of the 8 metropolitan local governments to settle examination fees of 400 less privileged students. Local government included Kano Municipal, Dala, Nasarawa, Gwale, Taroni, Ugongo, Fagye, and Kumboso. Suleiman said each of the remaining 36 local governments would select 200 less privileged students to pay their examination fees. He said the government had directed the 44 local governments in the states to set up a committee for the selection process. Commissioner, however, urged wealthy individuals and non-governmental organizations to join hands with government to restore the glory of education in the state. Coming from around Africa, South Africa tightens restrictions as new infections climb. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa reimposes restrictions for 2 weeks to combat a surge in coronavirus cases. The worst-hit country on the continent is facing a massive resurgence of infection, the president said in a televised address to the nation. Ramaphosa banned all gatherings except for funerals, where numbers will be capped at 50, and also added a ban on the sale of alcohol. Eateries and restaurants will not be allowed to serve sit-down meals and will only be allowed to serve food for takeaway or delivery. A nighttime curfew has been lengthened by an hour starting at 9 p.m. till 4 a.m., while all schools should be shut by Friday. Authorities say the peak of the third wave fueled by the Delta variant first identified in India will surpass that of earlier waves as the country struggles to quickly roll out vaccinations. South Africa now counts 1.9 million coronavirus cases after recording 15,036 new cases on Sunday, a drop from the previous day when 18,762 new infections were diagnosed. And still coming from around Africa, crowds cheer Laureate Gbagbo as he returns to home village. Thousands of supporters gave Ivory Coast's controversial former president Laurent Gbagbo a hero welcome, shouting hooray and flashing the V for victory sign as he made a triumphant return to his home village on Sunday. The village in the southwest of the West African country has been a hive of activity in anticipation of the visit since Gbagbo arrived back in Ivory Coast from Europe on June 18th after being definitively acquitted by the International Criminal Court. He was tried on charges stemming from violence that claimed around 3,000 lives after he refused to concede electoral defeats in 2010 to current President Alassane Ouattara. Gbagbo made his way to Mama by road, stopping first in the capital, Yamoussoukro, in the center of the country, the world's top cocoa producer. He then headed to the town of Blouza near Mama to visit the grave of his mother, Marguerite Gado, who died in 2014 when he was in prison at the ICPC in The Hague. Mama had begun bustling at dawn, its main artery choked with coaches, motorbikes and cars filled with supporters of a former president. Gbagbo's return to the former French colony on June 17 saw violence, with police making massive use of tear gas to disperse crowds. Ouattara, re-elected controversially to a third term in October 2020, gave the green light for Gbagbo's return a few days after the ICC in late March upheld his acquittal first pronounced in January 2019. We'll go on a very short break. When we'll come back, we'll bring you updates from Australia. Please don't go anywhere. Ignites the flame for unbridled unction, sets the pace for uncommon impact. Get ready for a moment of change to protect your identity in International Youth Conference 2021. Theme: purpose, passion, and power. Ministry: Pastor Courage Imoliore.
Powers that has vowed that you will always beg before you seek favor. Powers that has vowed that you will always beg before you seek lifting. After now, that yoke shall be broken.
Reverend John Asia.
The enemy takes advantage of our unbridled tongue. You are talking, be careful. You know, we look for trouble by ourselves, by too many information that we release out of our mouth.
Apostle Professor Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman.
A battle of service. Our youths, these days, this generation, God will help us. Who will feel your impact? Who will feel your impact if you even choose to leave this place now? The battle of service is a battle that is confronting the youth today.
Nothing severes you from entanglement like addiction to God's word. Your addiction to God's word is your severance and your cure.
Date 6th through 9th July 2021, happening at the International Worship Center, Omega Fire Ministries, kilometer 132, Benin Okene, Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. The time is 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. GMT+1. For inquiries, please call. It's time to break bounds. Welcome back, and now updates from Australia. Outbreaks emerge across Australia, a new phase of pandemic.
Australian leader will hold an emergency meeting today over a spike in COVID infections. The Sydney outbreak linked to the highly contagious Delta variant has grown to 128 cases. Cases have also been recorded in the Northern Territory, Queensland and Western Australia. Officials say it's a critical time for the country, which has kept case numbers low with border closures and lockdowns. This is the first time in months that cases have emerged in multiple parts of the country at the same time. The escalation in COVID infections has prompted lockdowns in the cities of Sydney and Darwin, as well as restrictions across 4 states. The situation remains most concerning in Sydney, where some 5 million residents are subject to a stay-at-home order. The New South Wales state government on Sunday expanded lockdown to cover all of Greater Sydney, the Blue Mountains, Central Coast and Wollongong. More updates from the United States of America. U.S. airstrikes in Iraq and Syria target Iran-backed militia. The U.S. has launched airstrikes against an Iran-backed militia on the Iraq-Syria border. Sunday strikes hit operational and weapons storage facilities in response to drone attacks on U.S. forces. The Pentagon did not provide any information on casualties, but a monitoring group said 5 militant fighters were killed. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, several more militias were wounded in Syria in an attack by U.S. warplanes. This is the second round of airstrikes President Biden has authorized against Iran-backed militias since taking office in January. U.S. forces based in Iraq have been hit several times in recent months by drone attacks. Iran has denied any involvement. About 2,500 U.S. troops are based in the country as part of an international coalition fighting the jihadist Islamic State group. Since 2009, the U.S. has designated Kataib Habzola as a terrorist organization, accusing them of threatening the peace and stability of Iraq. Iraq's influence over Iraq's international affairs has grown steadily since the U.S.-led invasion that toppled Saddam Hussein in 2003. The strikes come as Iran has been holding talks with world powers, including the U.S., about reviving a 2015 nuclear deal, which lifted sanctions against the state in exchange for Iran stopping some nuclear works. Foreign powers suspect Iran has ambitions to build a nuclear bomb, something Iraq strongly denies. Former U.S. President Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew the U.S. from the agreement in 2018 and reimposed sanctions. Quickly, we'll go straight to business news right now. We'll have currency in circulation drops to 2.79 trillion naira, says CBN. The currency in circulation dropped slightly from 2.79 trillion naira as of the end of April to 2.79 trillion naira in May, the latest figures from the Central Bank of Nigeria has shown. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria, the currency in circulation, which stood at 2.83 trillion naira as of January, fell to 2.807 trillion naira at the end of March. Central Bank of Nigeria defined the currency in circulation as currency outside the vaults of a central bank, that is, all legal tender currency in the hands of the general public and in the vaults of the deposit money banks. It said for every withdrawal made by a DMB at one of Central Bank of Nigeria's branches, an increase in CIC was recorded, adding that for every deposit made by a DMB at one of CBN's branches, a decrease in CIC was recorded. Transactions were all recorded in a in Central Bank of Nigerian CIC account, and the balance on the account at any point in time represented the country's currency in circulation. According to the Apex Bank, analysis of the currency in circulation shows that a large and increasing proportion of the Nigerian currency outside commercial banking system was held by the general public, who hoard a lot of the new bank notes. And still on business news, petrol landing cost hits 232 naira. Subsidy rises to 5.58 billion naira daily. From an average of 143.6 naira per litre in December, the landing cost of petrol rose to 231.98 naira per litre on June 16 this year, on the back of a rally in global oil prices and the depreciation of the naira against the dollar. Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency had in March this year released a pricing template that indicated the guiding prices for the month. The template will show that the petrol pump price was expected to range from 209.61 naira to 212.61 naira per litre, was greeted with widespread public outcry and was later deleted by the agency from its website. The pump price of petrol has remained at between 162 naira and 165 naira per litre at many filling stations in Lagos since December. The template, which was based on an average oil price of $62.22 per barrel for February and an exchange rate of 403.8 naira to a dollar, showed that the landing cost of petrol was 189.61 naira per litre. The price of crude oil, which accounts for large chunks of the final cost of petrol, has continued to rise in recent months, with Brent, the international oil benchmark, closing at record high of $76.18 per barrel last Friday, up from $73.88 per barrel per litre on June 16. The group managing director, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, ENQUIRY, said on March 25th that with the current market situation, the actual price of petrol could have been anywhere between 211 and 234 naira per litre. He said the federal government was subsidizing petrol with about 100 billion naira to 120 billion naira monthly, as it was being sold for 162 naira per litre. We'll go on a very short break. We'll come back, we'll bring you sport news. Let's see how Belgium actually beat holders Portugal 1-0 to reach Euro 2020 quarterfinals. Don't go anywhere.
Ignites the flame for unbridled unction, sets the pace for uncommon impact. Get ready for a moment of change to protect your identity in International Youth Conference 2021. Theme: purpose, passion, and power. Ministry: Pastor Courage Imolore.
Powers that has vowed that you will always beg before you see favor. powers that has vowed that you will always beg before you seek lifting, after now, that yoke shall be broken.
Reverend John Asia.
The enemy takes advantage of our unbridled tongue. You are talking, be careful. You know, we look for trouble by ourselves, by too many information that we release out of our mouth.
Apostle Professor Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman.
A battle of service. Our youths, these days, this generation, God will help us. Who will feel your impact? Who will feel your impact if you even choose to leave this place now? The battle of service is a battle that is confronting the youth today.
Nothing severes you from entanglement like addiction to God's word. Your addiction to God's word is your severance and your cure.
Date 6th through 9th July 2021, happening at the International Worship Center, Omega Fire Ministries, kilometer 132, Benin Okene, Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. The time is 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. GMT+1. For inquiries, please call. It's time to break bounds. Welcome back, and on sports news, Belgium beat holders Portugal 1-0 to reach Euro 2020 quarterfinals. Belgium ended Portugal's European Championship defense with a 1-0 win in Seville despite losing Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard to injuries in the last 16 clash. With both sides facing a daunting road to Euro 2020 glory, it was Belgium who emerged to reach a quarter-final tie against informed Italy thanks to Torgan Hazard's long-range strike. It was a goal that deserved to settle the game of few chances, although De Bruyne's substitution early in the second half concerned Roberto Martinez, as will Eden Hazard's departure late in the match. Portugal could not capitalize and paid the price for a third-place Group F finish that condemned them to the side of the draw. Still in another sports news, Serena Williams says she won't play at Tokyo Olympics. Serena Williams says she will not compete at the Tokyo Olympics next month, joining fellow Grand Slam legend Rafael Nadal in withdrawing from the Games. The 39-year-old American reviewed her decision at a pre-Wimbledon press conference. She refused to divulge the reasons for her decision. However, a ban on foreign fans as well as family members at the Olympics would have meant Williams being separated from her daughter, Alexis Olympia. The Olympics have already been delayed by a year, and organizers have been forced to reintroduce strict measures to fight COVID-19. Williams is the joint most successful Olympian in tennis history in terms of gold medals, alongside sister Venus having won one gold medal each in singles and 3 in doubles. Serena, who is bidding to equal Margaret Court's record of 24 Grand Slam singles title at Wimbledon, added she had not really thought about what it would mean to miss the Games. She won the 2012 Olympic singles title in London
on the same Senate court where she has won 7 Wimbledon single titles. She also won double gold with Sister Venus in Sydney in the year 2000, Beijing 2008, and London. That has brought us to the end of the news on Celebration Television News Desk. In case you missed out, here's the recap of the news headlines. Apostle Johnson Suleiman awards scholarship and support to free children abandoned by their fathers. South Africa tightens restrictions as new infections climb. Outbreaks emerge across Australia in new phase of pandemic. Currency in circulation drops to 2.79 trillion naira, says CBN. Belgium beats holders Portugal 1-0 to reach Euro 2020 quarterfinals. And quickly we have a photo of the day. Photo of the day, can you see that? It simply tells us that some people are actually against us, unknown to us, even though they appear like they are with us. You need the spirit of discernment to actually decode and know who is actually against you. So you've got to be extremely careful in this race of life. You can drop your comment on our social media platforms of Facebook, Celebration TV, Instagram, My Celebration TV, Twitter, at My Celebration TV, YouTube, Celebration TV. Always remember your positive contribution and awareness of the society. Find yourself or the organization you work defines a leadership mind. As an individual who knows what to do and do without expecting to be pushed has backed these ways to success. Be it known today that everything we do, think, feel, and believe either has a positive or negative effect on humanity and our national well-being. Be a part of nation building today. Thank you once again for staying with us on our news desk. I remain Nicholas Akosile Walter. Stay blessed. To 15.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offence.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikule Amoso,